Brittany Furlan, a Virgo comedian and Vine star, says she's been doing just fine in a TikTok video after being criticized and enduring various mean comments she's been receiving after Cancerian actress model Pamela Anderson's Netflix documentary about her life. Pamela Anderson was married to Motley Crue's Libra drummer and founder Tommy Lee. Remember the sex tapes? Okay. Now, anyway, Brittany Furlan is Tommy Lee's present wife. So here's where all the kerfuffle begins. This is where it starts. I thought it would be really fun to just take a look at the birth charts of these three people. So here's what I found out. I'm going to share it with you now. Now, Brittany Furlan is a stellium in Virgo. She has a stellium in Virgo with a sun, moon, and Mercury all in the sign of the Virgin. And, you know, Virgos are very, very self-critical. Now, Brittany says she's been doing okay, been doing just fine after the mean comments because she doesn't stress, quote unquote, stress over it because she has so many wonderful and loving fans and a wonderful, loving husband. Now, Tommy Lee, that, you know, he loves her. She's married to Tommy Lee now. That's Brittany Furlan. Pamela Anderson used to be married to Tommy Lee, okay? So Brittany Furlan says that Tommy Lee's being good to her and so a lot of her fans. So it's enabling her to sort of not worry too much about these or not get too hurt by the mean comments. Okay. Now, the only thing that I would say about this is that Virgos put a lot of pressure on themselves, okay? They do, to act perfect and to be perfect. And therefore, Brittany might be ignoring some hurt feelings that could sort of become bitter after many years of ignoring them, okay? That's something that might happen in a Virgo. Now, Virgos are very strong though, okay? They're very strong. So I know that in the long run she'll be fine because Virgos are able to, they're very analytical, and so they're able to figure things out well. But you don't want her to start, you know, hiding her feelings from herself so much that she begins to feel uncomfortable, okay? Now, Pamela Anderson is a Cancer Sun, Aries Moon, and Mercury in Cancer also with a Gemini Rising. Okay. Now, Pamela has nurturing and very sensitive Cancer Sun and Mercury traits with a fiery Aries Moon that balances the feminine water sign with a masculine Cardinal Fire sign. Gemini Rising gives her imagination, quick wit, intelligence, and the ability to move on and get past things that have bothered her. Okay. Her Netflix documentary is called Pamela, A Love Story. Gives her a chance to sort of, what she said in the article, tell her side of the story, okay? Which helps with Cancerian tendency to be anxious or fearful, okay? And I read some of this in People magazine, okay? I read it in a whole bunch of different magazines, and I saw a whole bunch of videos on it, but you can read about it in People magazine also. Now, Tommy Lee, okay? He has a Libra Sun, Sagittarius Moon, Mercury, Libra, Mars in Cancer, Uranus and Pluto in Virgo. He's well balanced, okay? With the airy dominance of Libra Sun fueling the wildfire of mutable Sagittarius Moon, okay? So mutable fire, Sagittarius Moon. Now, Libra Sun and Mercury is fair, okay? So while Sagittarius is never really satisfied and needs adventure, Mars in Cancer gives him some sort of competitor's traits when it comes to Pamela's Cancer Sun and Mercury that is sort of fun when people are very young. We want to compete with your husband or your lover, your husband. It's kind of fun when you're young. You want to be rivals with the person you love, okay? Or your best friend or your lover, whatever. But in this case, they were spouses at the time. But during that time, it might be fun when they were young without his Mars in Cancer with her Sun in Cancer and her Mercury in Cancer might have been fun for them to be a little bit competitive with each other when they were younger, okay? Because remember, that's the time when all those sex tapes came out that they did, and all of that, you know, made a big scandal, but made them very popular too. I remember Pamela Anderson was in Baywatch. Okay, so you understand all this now. Okay, now when somebody becomes older, because I think he's in his late 50s or early 60s now, somewhere in there, because I'm 66, I know he's a little bit younger than me, so somewhere in there, When you get a little bit more mature, competing and having rivalry with your husband or your lover, it's not so good. It's not so fun anymore. Then it just becomes sort of a headache, and you don't want to do that so much when you get a little bit older. So this is why maybe they had to break up at one point, perhaps. Now, with that also said, okay, now Tommy Lee, his Uranus in Virgo makes Tommy scrupulous, very scrupulous, and especially in detailed matters, which gives Brittany Furlan a sense of security and helps her to not become overwhelmed, because Virgos can get overwhelmed. Okay, Tommy's Pluto in Virgo wants to transform all of his realities into a perfect world, or into many perfect worlds or realms or kingdoms, which again gives Brittany the emotional and mental support that can help her stellium in Virgo realize that he is taking very good care of her, which is why she's doing okay. Okay. Now Virgos are very good at taking care of others. So, with that said, Brittany's positive attitude also helps her, and Tommy Lee, it helps her to, and he as well, to perceive that all is well. So her situation with Tommy Lee and with the situation with what happened, the repercussions after the Pamela Anderson video, the documentary on Netflix, and when Brittany Furlan made the TikTok video, her response to it, her reaction, okay? Virgos are good, again, they're good at having good attitude. They really try to have a good attitude. So it can help Tommy Lee to perceive that all is well, and help her to perceive that all is well after that repercussion from the critical comments in social media that stemmed from the Pamela Anderson documentary on Netflix. Okay, so there's all that Virgo that Brittany Furlan has, and the Uranus and the Pluto Virgo that Tommy Lee has. That he's older. I think she's younger than him. He's a bit older. I think that's a very stable and kind of curative, healing situation. And again, even Pamela Anderson got to tell her side of the story, according to her documentary. And so this is really healing for all of them. But it's the fans of, that take sides and are sort of saying mean things to Brittany Furlan that started all of this kerfuffle. So, but at the end of the day, I think they're all actually going to do very well. And we all need to, I guess, need how to learn to, deal better with when sort of fans start to make bad comments or mean tweets or things like that. Sometimes you're just supposed to read them. Maybe someday I'll try that a little bit more and see how it works.